everybody, welcome or welcome back. In today's video we are going to be going through the 25 books that I am super duper excited to read in 2025. This is something that I've done since 2023, I think. It's basically just an assortment of new releases, books that I have on my TBR, also just like books that I don't own that are already out that I'm really excited to read. This is one of my favourite things to do at the end of the year because by this point in the year I feel like my reading gets a little bit more stale. I'm kind of just like trying to finish up whatever I don't want to take into the next year in terms of like series or like Christmas books, whatever. This little list always gets me really excited for next year's reading. I thought before we get into the books I would just show you what I did for the previous 2 years in my bullet journal. This is for 2023. As you can see, I did an okay job. I read 20 books out of the 23, and then here we have 2024, which I like the layout of this one better. I think both of these layouts I copied from Rachel Catherine. She does really beautiful book journals, so I copy a lot of her layouts. As you can see, I did a really good job this year. I read 23 out of the 24 books. The only one I didn't read was Crescent City, which I think that's pretty freaking good, and considering how chunky the Crescent City series is, I don't really blame myself like for how late in the year I left it, the fact that I didn't read it. So yeah, this will probably be a quick one because obviously I don't have opinions on these books, but let's get into the 25 books I want to read in 2025. The first book is an obvious one for me personally. We have Onyx Storm, which is a terrible name, by the way. I hate that. It is the third book in the Fourth Wing series. I personally love Fourth Wing. I loved the first book. I really liked Iron Flame, the second book as well. So I'm super duper excited for Onyx Storm. I'm a little bit nervous, I'm not gonna lie, with the way that Iron Flame ended. I really don't know where we're gonna go. I'm kind of scared, but I'm very excited, and if I'm not mistaken that's coming out in January, so I won't be waiting too long for that. The second book that I have on my list is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. That's going to be Ali Hazelwood's new release for 2025. If you don't know, I love me an Ali Hazelwood book. That's probably my most anticipated book for the entire year because I just know I'm gonna like it regardless. I trust her so much. I can't emphasize how much I trust Ali Hazelwood, and I know I'm gonna love it. It's set in college, and I believe it's a diver and maybe a swimmer, so like similar but a little bit different. And I don't know if it's a fake dating situation, something about an arrangement, so it could be fake dating, it could also be friends with benefits. Like I don't know if it's a public thing or if it's I don't know, but all I know is I'm very excited. Third, we have Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. Emily Henry again is another author who I absolutely love, auto-buy, read everything she writes. From what I know about Great Big Beautiful Life, it is about two writers. Again, love when Emily Henry writes about writers. First off, it's about two writers, and I think they're competing to write the life story of a woman who's kind of giving, if you know the Taylor Swift song, The Last Great American Dynasty, kind of giving the lady that song was based off. I think Emily Henry has said if you could put a song with this book, you'd put that song, kind of thing. I'm very excited about that because that sounds like a very interesting premise, a bit different from what we're used to from Emily Henry. I feel like all of her other books have really just focused on two people, whereas maybe this is going to delve into this woman's life a lot more, and we're going to have this whole other storyline going on outside of the relationship, which would be really fun. Next we have Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I feel like I'm getting all of the big new releases out of the way first, and Abby Jimenez is another auto-buy author. I feel like Ali Hazelwood, Emily Henry, Abby Jimenez, those are my top 3 romance girlies that I like go to and trust, and when they put out a book I'm gonna buy it immediately and probably read it immediately. From what I know about it, I believe this girl Samantha meets this guy Xavier and they have a bad first meeting, but it's resolved. He like apologizes and they have a amazing date. Samantha kind of realizes that she doesn't have the space for a relationship in her life. I'm not sure what's going on, but there's something going on with her family. So she kind of says to him, so sorry darling, let's just leave this here. Say you'll remember me though. The chemistry between them means that they simply cannot stay apart, I'm sure. But yeah, that sounds really good. Number 5. Fifth book that I'm very excited to read next year is Destructively Mine by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is going to be the second book in their latest series, Webs We Weave. Don't know about that, don't love that. I read the first one earlier this year and I think I rated it like a 4-star, somewhere around there. I quite enjoyed it, didn't blow me away, but I feel like it was a good start to a series, so I'm excited to continue it. This whole series is kind of in a similar vein to Addicted, in that we have like a found family scenario and like a little group of characters that we like love all of them, and they're like sibling dynamics and romance dynamics and in that midst, you know what I mean, like a nice little found family to follow through a long series. One group of siblings, it's like a sister, 2 brothers, and then Rocky is the other group of siblings, which again is a sister and 2 brothers, and then the sisters are best friends. So we have Phoebe and Hayley, 2 sisters. I don't know if I've explained this very well. Decided in the first book to up and leave their like family dynamic and move to wealthy college town in Connecticut. They decided to do this and like up and leave their family and not tell them where they were going, because their family is like crime family vibes. Like their parents are schemers and liars, to be truthful. I thought it was, going into it, I thought it was like mafia vibes. It's not. It's like con artists like pretending to be rich, like Anna Delvey. Phoebe and Hayley decided they don't want to do that, moved to Connecticut in the first book, and then I think Rocky came as well to like try and get them to come back, and also just to like look after them, watch over them, whatever. Did stuff in the first book. Now we're moving on to the second. I'm very excited to get into it from how the last one ended off. It was kind of like a at the end, so I'm excited to continue the series. Next book, number 6, is It's a Love Story by Annabelle Monaghan. I didn't realise how many new releases I'd included in my 25, but hey, can you blame me for being excited about all my favourite authors releasing books? From what I have heard, can tell, it's about Jane, who I think she was on like a sitcom-y show all throughout her like childhood or teenage years, and she kind of played like a awkward daughter kind of character. I think now as an adult she is a creative executive, which to me sounds like 2 words that don't actually explain anything about your job, at Clearwater Studios. So I'm guessing that's like film making situations, and she likes to make films or TV shows and such things. Apparently her first project is happening, but something's happened that's probably a problem, and she has to go to someone who she doesn't like, a guy she doesn't like, to like get him to help her. Something along those lines. I don't know. Sounds good to me though. I really enjoy things set in like movie. We're kind of like not famous, but like on the skirts of like Hollywood. Like that's kind of fun. So I'm excited about that, and excited to read another Annabelle Monaghan book. I think I've read 2 of her books. Oh, here's where we get a bit rogue. Next book I have on here is Song of Achilles. Was very, very big on BookTok. I feel like during even COVID times, like when it was one of the first like big books on BookTok, a lot of people have read it, a lot of people really love it. From what I know, it's a Greek mythology. It's Greek mythology. A mythological retelling, if you will. It's not really like straight up my alley. I'm a little bit nervous about reading it, so that's probably why I've been putting it off. I've owned it for a little while. I think I got it for my birthday. A lot of people really, really love it, so I'm excited to give it a chance. Next we have number 8, which is Misery by Stephen King. This is the only Stephen King book that I've ever attempted to read. I read like 70 pages of it earlier this year. It's just not my thing. I'm not a thriller girl. I'm not a thriller girl at all, but I would really like to read that book because it's just so renowned and popular, and you know, everybody knows it, and I feel like everybody's read it. I know both my parents have probably read it. Like I feel like I want to read it. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of those books you want to read. Just when I read it, it was just like kind of like grossing me out to think about almost. Number 9, we have Play Along by Liz Tomfordy. Play Along is the 4th book in the Windy City series. It's already out. It came out this year. a lot of people have read it, a lot of people have really loved it, so I'm excited about reading it. I just haven't been in the mood for just like a sports romance, I guess, or I just haven't been in the mood for the book, but I am very excited about it. I read Caught Up, I think earlier this year, and I believe that it's about the guy and that's brother. She works for their baseball team as like a she's like makes them like make sure that they can like move and stuff. You know what I mean? You're probably screaming at me, but I can't think of the word. He's always kind of fancied her and like flirted with her, but she's always been either engaged or married or had a boyfriend. She's broken up with her boyfriend and they, I think, get married in Vegas. Like on a drunk whim. Sounds very good. I actually need to read it. And yeah, I'm really excited about it because I've really, really loved that series. So we'll be reading that next year and maybe reading the next one, but only this one's going to be on my 25 for 2025. Number 10, we have Magnolia Park's Into the Dark. That is the 5th book in the entire Magnolia Park's, whatever it's called, series. I have not read the 4th one, which is Daisy Hates the Great Undoing, just yet, but I've put the 5th one on because they both need to get read, because I need to stop putting off reading that series. It's ridiculous. This year I have read 1 book from the Magnolia Park series, and there are 3. Well, there have been 3 that I could read this year, so I need to just get over whatever weird thing I have in my head about reading the series, because I love it, but I just have a weird thing that I don't want to read it. So I need to get over that and I need to read it. So I put the 5th book on this thing because it means that I can't just read the 4th book and then be like, well, yeah, I did it for that year. No, we're getting through it. Number 11, this one is very rogue, but I have Pride and Prejudice. So I have this copy of Pride and Prejudice, which I have been reading maybe even since 2023, I think, actually, at least at the start of 2024, and I am about 100 pages through. And the reason it's taken me so long is because I've been like annotating every page quite heavily. I'm trying to show you without really getting into it. It's really, really fun when I sit down and do it, but I just don't sit down and do it. Like, priority list of things to do when I have spare time, it's not picking this up and doing this, but I need to make this a priority because I really, really want it to be complete. I mean, it's not something that I have to do, obviously, like annotate it as like deeply as I'm wanting to. Like, it's not like I'm in school and I'm like studying this book, but it's just, I've never read this all the way through and I really, really want to. I really want to have like my copy of Pride and Prejudice with all my thoughts. It's like the original enemies to lovers. Elizabeth and Darcy are the blueprint for a lot of couples that we love today. So I want to read it and I need to finish it really, really bad, but like I said, it's just not a priority. Make it a priority next year, and I'm going to try and get this done in, honestly, the first quarter of the year. And I thought one way to really hold myself to it would be to put it on my this little list, because even though I haven't ever actually completely finished the books on this, having them on this does really motivate me to read them, because I just like to colour in the little boxes and the little pictures. Honestly, that's one of my favourite things to do, is just colour in the little pictures that I make for myself. So we'll be doing it. Okay, 12. 12 is Crescent City. What's the first book in that called? The first Crescent City book. It was already on my 2024 list. For some reason I didn't get around to it. I don't know why I didn't get around to reading Crescent City. It just didn't happen for me this year. I love me some Sarah J Maas and I need to get through all of them immediately. I'm a little bit nervous about them, to be honest, because I do know they are urban fantasy. Never really been a fan of an urban fantasy personally. Also have not heard the most amazing things about the series. Out of all of her books, they're probably the ones that I've heard the most mixed reviews on from people who really loved her other books. So I don't know, we'll see, but I am excited about reading them. The next book on my list is one that I'm really excited about. It is Scythe by Neal Shusterman. I don't think I've been saying who all these books are by. Maybe I have, I don't know. Scythe is a trilogy, which I have been really excited to read. Actually, one of my friends, my friend who also reads, and we like to talk about books together, she said that she thought I'd really like this series. From what I know, it's about this dystopian world where, you know, there's no war, no disease, no hunger, nothing, but like we have conquered all, no death. We have conquered all and we are in this utopia, I guess you could say. But obviously with no death, we are having to control the population some way. We can't just keep making more people. The world has these people called the Scythes who are basically tasked with, I don't know if they decide who dies or if they just carry out the death, but that is kind of their role in society, population control. And we have these two, I believe, two characters who are chosen to apprentice to become Scythes. And I'm guessing that we're just following through that kind of journey of learning how to be a Scythe, and I'm sure it's not a pleasant situation. Okay, number 14, we have One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig, which is a duology which I've been seeing going around on the webs. It's about a girl called Elizabeth, which is an interesting name, Elizabeth, and she has like a monster voice situation. I believe it's only in her mind, which is concerning for Elizabeth, but she seems to believe that it's keeping her safe, I believe, which, okay, you know, I'm so glad that you feel that way, Elizabeth. I think she meets someone who takes her on an adventure to cure the kingdom. I think those are the vibes of the book. I don't really know much more than that, but I've heard good things, and I'm always excited about like a little fantasy trilogy, fantasy duology, any kind of series I'm always excited about. So yeah, I'm gonna read that next year. Next is another trilogy, I believe, and it's The Renegades, which I'm again very excited about. It sounds really up my alley. So another dystopia, I believe, and I think the world may have fallen into some sort of war / chaos, and then this band of humans with extraordinary powers and abilities, think of like an Avengers kind of situation, kind of rose up and restored humanity and saved the world. Like, it is kind of giving Avengers vibes when you describe it like that. Really loves The Renegades, except for the villains, the people who they kind of overthrew. Sounds great to me. I'm very excited about it, and actually we'll probably read it hopefully towards the start of the year, because I'm very excited about that. That sounds really good. Number 16, which is The Goal by Elle Kennedy. This is the 4th book in the Off-Campus series. I just want to get that series finished. Like, I'm not particularly excited about reading The Goal, but I would just like to knock that off my list. I would have been more excited to read any of the other books. This is the book I'm least excited about to read in the series. I think it's Accidental Pregnancy Trope. I don't know if that's a spoiler, but it's been out for a long time, so, and I already know it, so whatever. Yeah, that's pretty much all I know about it. I'll be reading basically just to check it off my list, because that's how I am. At 17, we have Lovely War, which I own and I've been wanting to read for quite a while. I haven't really been in the like zone to read it recently, so that's why I've been putting it off, but I will definitely get to it next year, probably early in the year again. I believe that it is a love story taking place in either World War I or World War II, two couples being told from the perspective of Aphrodite. Crazy. Very excited about it. I love books set in World War I / World War II. I feel like I've said that a lot. Next, we have Heartless Hunter. I think either the second book, I think it's a duology, and I think the second book's coming out next year. Or maybe it's the third book, I don't know. But Heartless Hunter, or I think it's called The Crimson Moth in the UK. Or in America. One of them's different. It's called something different somewhere, I don't know where. But I believe it's about a witch and a witch hunter. That's all I know. But everybody's been ranting and raving about the Heartless Hunter, so I want to read it. I'm excited about it. Next, number 19, we have Kingdom of the Feared, which is the third book in the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy. I read Kingdom of the Wicked at the end of last month or the start of this month, I can't actually remember. Didn't love it as much as I expected to. I felt like the start dragged a bit, but I did enjoy it more towards the end, and I do want to finish the trilogy, so I put the third book on my 2025 list just to make sure that I do get that finished. Didn't love the first book. I felt like it kind of felt like we were going in circles a bit. One of those things where like you keep just telling me the same thing and I just don't really care. But maybe the second book will be fun. I think we're changing where we are located, which is going to be fun. Number 20, we have Death at Mourning House by Maureen Johnson. Maureen Johnson is one of my favourite, usually YA mystery thriller authors. So I picked this up earlier this year. I can't remember when it came out, but I picked it up around the time it came out, I think, and I never ended up reading it. Not too sure why, but I just didn't get around to it. I am excited about it. I believe it's about a girl who gets a new summer job at this house. I believe it's kind of like a one of those like nice homes in the countryside that you can like go walk around. Like you walk around the grounds and like have tours, and sometimes they have like tea. I think it's that kind of thing. I could be wrong. I think maybe someone died in it, or there is a death in it during the book and she's kind of trying to figure out what's going on, or maybe something's trying to get her. I don't know, but I do love a Maureen Johnson book. I really liked her Truly Devious series, so I'm excited to read it. 21, we have Fall With Me by Becca Mack, which is the fourth book in the Playing for Keeps series which I have loved the first book, didn't like the second book, loved the third book. I started Fall With Me this summer and it was just like not what I wanted to read at the time. I know what I'm getting from the books, and I don't know, maybe if I've just kind of moved past reading, you know, these kind of like interconnected sport romance books. Like I feel like you know what you're getting from those, and I don't know if I'm just not really into them anymore, but I really loved two of the books in this series, so I do want to give it another chance to read. This one is about another member of this hockey team. All of them are about a member of the hockey team. He's, I think, a newer one. He wasn't as like established on the teams. He feels a bit more on the outside, maybe more so than he actually is. Like it's more so in his head kind of thing. And then I believe this girl, he meets her on vacation, back to work, and she's working for the hockey team. You know, it's one of those. 22, we have Quicksilver by Kaylee Hart, which is a book which I have seen going around on BookTok, BookTube, Bookstagram, all the places. Everybody's been reading Quicksilver, saying it's kind of like in the vein of an ACOTAR, of a Fourth Wing, of a Powerless, you know, just like the big romantasy book that everybody's reading right now. I haven't read it yet. Thought I'd give it a try. I believe it's on Kindle Unlimited, so why not? I don't really know what it's about. I'm looking at the blurb and it's not really like giving me much of anything. It kind of just sounds like a girl who does magic, has the secret magical ability, gets in a little bit of magical trouble, and then there is a Fae warrior. Classic. Our classic. I mean, haven't we all been there? But everybody's been ranting and raving about it, and I do love a romantasy, so I will be reading that at some point, I'm sure. I also have, for number 23, Phantasma, which is the other kind of romantasy book that everybody's been talking about right now. This one I'm slightly more excited about because I believe it's all surrounding like a game, a trial, something along those lines, and I always enjoy something along those lines of like, we have trials, or we have a game, or you've got to win this, or whatever. So I'm excited about that as well. 24, which I did end up putting Fearless by Lauren Roberts. I wasn't sure if I was going to have this on my list because I really don't know. I liked Powerless. I gave it like 4.25, but it hasn't, like, I don't think about Powerless ever really. I really liked Powerful, the little novella, actually. It made me like sob. And then Reckless I thought was just like really shoddy. Like I don't like to, you know, talk badly about a book, but that really did feel like just filling time. I wasn't sure. Knew I was going to read Fearless, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to include it on this list. But hey, why not? I know I'm going to read it, and I'm going to try and go in with a bit more of a positive attitude. Maybe I'm going to really love it, and I hope I really love it. Last book that I am determined to read in 2025 is a book that I've actually already read about 75% of. It is Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. This is another one which I, like, as I read, have been like underlining things. Like, I have a little key and colours in it. So I have a black pen, I don't know if this has a blue pen on it, but I have a black pen, a blue pen, and a white pen, and a black pen, a blue pen, and a red pen. And I can't remember what the code is, but I've been kind of underlining it as I read it, and I was enjoying it for a while and being quite consistent in it, but I just haven't picked it up in a few months. So I'm gonna get this finished, and I just wanted to put it on there. Similar to Pride and Prejudice, it's just like you need to do it. Again, it's just not a priority. It's not something that when I have a bit of free time I'm, you know, reaching for. I'd rather just reach for like my current read. That is it. Those are the 25 books that I am very excited to read in 2025. I feel like I have a nice mixture of new releases, books I already own, series that I want to finish off, series that I want to start, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm very excited about reading for next year. Let me know if you're excited to read any of the same books as me, or any books you're excited to read. I can add them to the back of my mind, because I do plan on reading more than 25 books next year, so let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and hopefully I will see you next time.